Hi, this is Deanne. Today we're going to be discussing DNA. What DNA stands for is deoxyribonucleic acid, which you can see why we'll call it DNA. DNA is found in the nucleus of every single cell. It's a very, very important molecule. It really dictates how things are going to function in the cell, which in turn dictates how things will function in a living thing. It's the blueprint of life. Chromosomes are made of something called DNA. Today we're really going to be looking at the structure of DNA and what an actual DNA molecule looks like. If you take DNA and smush it all up, it will actually make a chromosome, and the chromosome kind of looks like an X. But inside of that chromosome is lots and lots of smushed up DNA. DNA is extremely important. It contains everyone's unique genetic code. And when we see the structure of DNA, this is very unique in itself because DNA really, it's not a very complicated molecule. So to think that everyone on the planet has their own unique DNA is really pretty amazing. DNA, the structure of it was determined by two famous scientists named Watson and Crick. They actually worked with a lot of researchers and built on what they did, but they basically are credited with determining the structure of DNA, which was a huge breakthrough. With that structure, they could kind of pull apart DNA and figure out how it worked and how it gave the code for life. So the structure of DNA is made of a building block called a nucleotide. A nucleotide has three main parts to it. There's a sugar, a phosphate group, and a nitrogen base. And it's just putting these nucleotides together is what makes DNA. The structure is called a double helix, which really is kind of taking a ladder and twisting it is what the molecule will look like. The phosphates and the sugars are like the sides of the ladder, and the nitrogen bases will be like the rungs of the ladder. The bases are going to play a very key component. There's 4 different nitrogen bases. They're called adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. And they bond in a very particular way. Adenine will always bond with thymine and vice versa. And cytosine will always bond with guanine and vice versa. So this is going to be very important as to how they bond together and hook up, that the A and the T always go together and C and G always hook up together. It has to do with their chemical nature. Here's really what DNA is going to look like. This S stands for a sugar molecule, the P for phosphate, and you can see all the way down you have sugar connected to phosphate. The same thing on the other side. In the middle you have your nitrogen bases connected, the C hooking up with the G with the C, T with A. They're always going to go in that same order. So this will be like the rungs of the ladder, how these are going to bond together, and then this will be the sides of the ladder. And then you have to imagine that this is taken and twisted to look more like a spiral or a double helix. And that concludes the structure of DNA.